All right, this is Sean Finley from Cycle News, and we are getting our first ride on the 2024 Yamaha Tenere 700 adventure bike. I actually happen to own one of these. They first came out at the end of 2020 at the 2021 model, and they became really hugely popular, mostly I think because they're kind of simple compared to a lot of adventure bikes, in that they don't have a bunch of electronics and things like that, and that also contributes to being a price point closer to $10,000, $11,000 rather than $14,000 plus. We got our first ride on this new bike. What they've changed from that first original version, the biggest change is there's a TFT dash now, full color dash, which is a big upgrade from what we had. There's also it used to be just a button only for turning off the ABS. Now there's a 3-position ABS control, so you can go all on, front and rear, rear off, or you can change it to be both off. And so I have to say, some people will like that, some people won't like it. It's for people that like the simplicity of just pushing a button, they're going to probably not be a big fan of this, but I think there'll be a lot of people that'll like having the option to change it.
Once you open it up, you're at the main menu setting. If you want to change your display or any kind of settings on the bike with the display, push and hold on the right handlebar switch and it pops up your main sub menu, and then you have settings, you have ABS mode, you have themes, which is your background. If you want to change that, you can go in, select Explorer or Street. It was in Street, so we'll select Explorer, and then once you select it, you have to long press again, and then it applies the settings. So to do it again, you would push long, bring up the sub menu, go to your selection that you want. So this time we can do ABS mode. ABS mode is in here, same thing, whichever one you want. You highlight first with a short press, and then you have to push and hold to apply the setting. And then it returns back to the setting. It says ABS off, your ABS light goes off. So now you have full ABS off. If you key it off and key it back on, it resets to ABS on. Okay, so if ABS is already off, or if you have the rear disabled and you want to put the ABS back on without having to go through those menu options, there's a handy little switch on the left side of the fairing, inner fairing. Push it once and it'll turn ABS back on. This is handy if you get back from riding off-road on a trail and you're back to a paved section for a while and you want ABS back on. You can just pull over, put it on real quick and take off.
All right, so one other thing that goes along with that updated dash that's now available on the new 24 Tenere is there's a Yamaha Connect app, which allows you to connect your phone to the bike itself. Allows you to connect your smartphone, it monitors fuel consumption, your last parking spot, maintenance intervals, and you can see your phone screens for accepting or rejecting phone calls. So that's another, like I said, connected to that upgraded dash. The other changes, pretty minor changes, is there's a update to the turn signals. They're now little LEDs rather than the big, huge bulbous things that used to be on these things that looked like they're from the 80s. So that's definitely an upgrade. And then optional, there's now a quick shift available. Otherwise, this is the same bike that, like I said, has become very popular because of it's kind of like an oversized dirt bike. You can use this thing. It's got good range, better range than most dirt bikes. Not quite the same range with only a 4.2 gallon tank. It's not quite the range of other bigger adventure bikes. You can get 200 miles out of it, but you're stretching it anything beyond that. So you have to think about that. There is the Rally Raid version available in Europe, which is not available here, that has more fuel capacity. Still no word on when or if that bike will come to the US, but as it is now, we're still have to live with this 4.2 gallon tank. Thinking about that more, having owned this bike for the last couple of years and riding a lot in the hills and mountains and everything around me here in northern Arizona, really 4.2 gallons gets you plenty of range riding off-road. The only time I kind of find an issue with it is if you're trying to do a lot of road mileage. And really even that, it's only an issue if you have some other people you're riding with that maybe have bigger tanks. For comparison, like the KTM 890 and 790 is about 5.3 gallon tank. The Aprilia Touareg has a 4.7 gallon tank, and the new Honda Transalp is only slightly bigger than the Yamaha with a 4.5 gallon tank. So again, off-road, it seems to be fine. It's the long road mileage where you might find that be a limiting factor. One of the other things that's kind of cool now with the new bike, there is an optional quick shift available. and we had that installed today. Really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, it won't retrofit to the older models because the wiring harness is not wired to accept it. But otherwise, that's a cool upgrade that I definitely liked. It is up only though, not down. Like I said, I've owned one for the last 3 years. I've really enjoyed it, ride it, exploring off-road into pretty technical terrain, and it works really well. So a couple of the other important points that I thought we were talking about once I got home and got to think about it a little bit is the 689cc CP2 motor that comes in the Tenere. It's really a dream for off-road riding, for adventure bikes. It's plenty of power for riding off-road, but not so much power that you have to have the engine management maps that are common on some of the more expensive adventure bikes. Really controllable clutch, really controllable power range that allows you to kind of take on pretty difficult terrain. The other thing is the suspension. The suspension is good. I would say it's not great, but it's plenty good for what most people are going to use these bikes for, riding off-road. And if you're really serious about it, you know, it's not that expensive to do an upgrade. That suspension is adjustable, and like I said, it performs pretty well for off-road. The cool thing is this bike is still just a little over 10 grand suggested retail. So it's I think the things that have made this thing popular when it first came out is going to continue to keep it up at the high on the list for people that really like to ride adventure bikes on technical terrain. Like I said, the only negative, I think, for those that want to really get out there, the fuel range is a little limited. But if you want to ride really technical terrain, that's actually kind of an advantage because you don't have a big, heavy fuel tank on the bike. So having owned one of the Yamaha Teneres for the last couple of years and putting a lot of miles on it, I think the only real complaint I have with that bike is the rear brake. It's a Brembo unit, and unfortunately it just doesn't work very well. It's got a lot of throw in the pedal, and it's kind of spongy and doesn't perform very well. So I actually put a Camel ADV as a replacement brake pedal that changes the ratio on it, and was really happy with that. Unfortunately, the changes that Yamaha made with the ABS did not change those rear brake components at all, and the results in performance is about the same. Damon Bradshaw joined us for our ride day on the new 2024 model, and he echoed my feelings on the Tenere. He described some great adventures that he has enjoyed exploring the expansive terrain near his home in Idaho. And let's not forget about the crazy stuff that Spain's Polterras has done on a Tenere, including competing in some hard enduro events. The Tenere has proven to be a very capable bike, almost like an oversized dirt bike, and the new upgrades mostly improve on that. The Tenere is no longer the only ADV bike in the $10,000 to $11,000 MSRP range though, and we look forward to comparing it to the new Honda Transalp and the re-released KTM 790 Adventure to see if the Tenere can continue to top the mid-sized ADV sales charts. But again, like I said, this is the same bike that's been really popular for the last several years. I think it's going to continue to be popular in the market. Still has its niche with a lot of performance as far as off-road performance and not a lot of tech to get in the way, and still a good price point. So I think that's going to continue to keep the Yamaha Tenere at the top. Look at Cycle News for a full story, specs, more details, and don't forget to subscribe to the Cycle News YouTube channel. Thank you.